Suppose your great desire for political change means that you are the one who must get involved in government and politics. But deciding that you want to get involved in government and politics and having your name known in the arena are two very different things. As my friend from Bangladesh would say, no same, different. Let's talk about getting your name known in politics today. I'm Dr. Lisa Ann Chung, a political leadership strategist, author of the book Political Change, and president for Kenley College, where we provide leadership training and strategy for new and aspiring politicians. I went through 3 different periods of people getting to know my name in politics, and I figured it might be good to share with you at least 2 of them. Because the first one is where I didn't go looking for government nor politics, it came looking for me. So that's not necessarily applicable to what we're going to be discussing today, so let's move on to the second time. The second time, I was very much involved with a lot of community activities. I was writing for the newspaper. I had a weekly column. There were people asking me to be on their talk shows. I was on the television, the radio. So my name was so well known that I remember there was a little girl, and she came up to me and tugged on her father, and she said to him, "Is that?" And she called me by the name I was known at the time. And I looked at her and smiled, and I said, "Yes, I am." And she was fascinated. And I went home and I said, "I'm a celebrity." But my point is, it's because I was having an impact in the community. And my having an impact in the community made it such that there were people in the government who then started to ask me to be a part of government boards. And so I was on different boards, even serving as the chairperson on a board, because I was having an impact in the community, and they figured, well, if you're impacting the people in one way, we want to bring you on board so that you can impact people on a wider scale. And of course, it looks good for the government. And I'd say my 2.5 version was where I'd moved to Jamaica. I was influencing politics from a different perspective, more from the civil society side of things, and influencing, sitting on tables with government leaders, going into international meetings, sometimes representing the Caribbean in terms of key decisions influencing the region. So that's 2.5. So I was still involved. I was still having the impact and the influence, and therefore continuing to represent. In that case, I was representing Jamaica. Different country, but still having the impact because I was going out, I was showing up. The third time was not so easy. I had lost a lot of contacts because people that I had known over the years in government and politics, some of them had died out, some of them had moved out of politics, some of them had relocated to other countries, they'd taken on new pursuits, they weren't involved as they once were. I had also taken a period of transition, and so I wasn't as much in the front lines as doing work with politics as I had done. And so I felt like I was starting all over again. And one of the things that I realized that I needed to do was to come out and start doing the videos. So yes, there were people who were working with me behind the scenes, and they saw what I was doing behind the scenes, and it was helping them a lot with even their own political journey. But recognizing that I had to get outside of my comfort zone and come in front of a camera, and in this case, at this time, on a weekly basis, that felt a little uncomfortable for me because I hadn't done it in such a long time. And so I needed to reassess what was important and what my vision was, and the fact that I was more interested in impacting the people's lives than I was about feeling comfortable. And that might be where you are. You might have to just bite the bullet and step outside of your comfort zone and do what doesn't feel easy. It doesn't feel comfortable, but you know if you don't do it, there are people that are going to suffer because the vision that you have to make change, will stay buried inside of you and nobody will benefit from it. You may be one of those people who has to step outside of your comfort zone, just like me, and speak up where you are. And that can begin with showing up. But I want to share with you, based on my own experience, some things that I've found have worked in terms of whether you are getting involved or you're going to a new level. The first thing that you want to do is recognize the needs of the people right where you are at your level. There's no better way to serve them than to know what their needs are now, right where you are. The second thing you want to do is recognize the needs that you're most capable of meeting. So you might know that there are lots of needs there, but that doesn't mean you can meet all of them. Which ones are you most capable of meeting? It might mean that what you're most capable of meeting, because you're going to be doing this on the side and you've got a full-time job. So what are you most capable of meeting based on your available time, but also on your abilities? The third thing that you're going to do is narrow down that list to 2 things at most, but here's why I want to say preferably 1. If you narrow it down to 1, you can serve really well there and then allow it to mushroom into other areas. Serve the needs of the people according to your strengths, your abilities, and your capacity at this time. This is going to undoubtedly lead to you being known whether you have an official position or not. We're not going to go into the place of saying the only reason that you're going to serve is if you can get an official title. We don't want you thinking like that. Principled, purposeful leaders don't think in terms of title. They think in terms of serving. Keep showing up so people get comfortable with you being around. They warm up to you. And like what happened to me on my second bout, because you keep showing up and because there are people who appreciate the value that you're adding to their lives, then you will get noticed. And then not only do they want you to show up, but they will start asking you to show up. They'll start asking for your input. They'll start asking you to sit at those negotiating tables. They'll start asking you to sit at the decision-making tables. They'll start asking for your opinion. And more so, when you serve people, oh, they start looking for you because somebody's here to serve, and people love a good server. Your serving will begin to build its own momentum. Let me tell you about someone named Deacon Mitchell. He is the Prime Minister of Grenada. Now, when Deacon Mitchell first started out, I can tell you nobody knew who he was, but he continued to serve from the background, served in the trenches, and he served his way up to becoming the leader of the opposition. When Deacon Mitchell became the leader of the opposition party, his party had absolutely 0 seats in Parliament. But within 1 year, Deacon Mitchell went, at least from the diaspora perspective, being virtually unknown to being the Prime Minister of Grenada. Some people may say it was all about the timing, and that might be true in regards to political change in Grenada. But let me ask you this question. If Deacon Mitchell was not showing up and continuing to show up and continuing to show up, would people even know the name Deacon Mitchell? Now, the people in Grenada are going to determine for themselves if he's doing a good job as Prime Minister or not. That's not the purpose for what I'm talking about him for. What I'm trying to get you to recognize is that you need to show up. And if you don't show up, people won't know your name. Does everyone in the world know who Deacon Mitchell is? I doubt it. You may not have even heard his name before I mentioned it just now. But the people who he is serving, where he is serving, know his name, and that's what matters. I believe that sometimes people who are getting involved in politics, they're trying to get their name known on this massive world stage. And there are people right in their community who are needing the service that they can provide. And they're saying, you're not enough for me. I need to get millions and millions and millions of likes and followers. But are you serving millions of people? Serve the people where you are because you can identify their needs and you can best serve them. They will in time know your name. Now, there is another side that we do need to look at of what happens when your name is known. Once your name is getting known, people start out criticizing you because they want to test you. Some start out criticizing you because you're a threat to their position. Okay, there are those. But the very dark side of this is when your name begins to be known, there are people that will come out and they will sabotage everything you do, or they will seek to sabotage everything you do. And there are some, if they cannot sabotage what you do by lies and false accusations, they're going to come after you because you are seen so much as a threat to them that they would be willing to go as far as to take you out. And I'm sure you know what I mean. These people see your name being known as a threat to their sense of entitlement to power. And they may be very good at persuading people that their diabolical plots against you are justified. Now, of course, you don't have to face any of this negativity, you know. You don't have to. You don't have to take it on. You don't have to wonder if your life is probably going to be on the line. And I'm not saying that it is, because for most people, that's not an issue of what happens when your name gets known. But you don't have to face the criticism. You don't have to deal with any of that. And so you might be there saying, well, tell me how. Okay. Do absolutely nothing. And if you do absolutely nothing, then who's going to fault you? Who's going to complain about what you're doing? Who's going to try to move you off the scene? Well, you're not a threat to anybody, so just exist. But you weren't born for that. You know that. You were never born to just exist. You were born to make a difference in the earth. And you do that by serving. And that means you're going to come out of your comfort zone and you're going to start to serve the people because they've been waiting for you. It would say in some places that the whole earth has literally been groaning for you to step up and show up. So I'm hoping that you will decide that being a principled, purposeful leader and making a difference right where you are is so much more important than whether people like you for doing it or not. And that's why one of the good things about taking our accredited certificate in government and political leadership program is because not only do you get what it takes to be known in this arena, but you will learn how to stand when things get tough in the arena. I'm going to put a link to it in the description box because I'm sure you might want to find out more about it. Ensure that when it is your time to leave this earth, people can come to you even before you die, and they would have been so positively impacted by the way you serve them that they can say, I know who you are. Well, I look forward to talking to you next time. That's it for today, folks. Bye for now.